know we have to do is we have to restore our local soils. The soils where most of the people in the world live are in the cities. And they are the soils that are most contaminated and the most lacking in biological diversity. So we have a big job to do. So we can look around here and I can just talk to you. And I want to talk to you about what I see. And I want you to be able to see that way too. Okay, so I see this plant here. This plant is Anthis. It's from China. It was brought here by Chinese immigrants, and I don't know exactly why they brought it here. It's a beautiful tree. It may have had a medicinal use, but it was brought here. And it is an amazing plant for disturbing soils and getting established and completely disrupting the natural soils and putting them in a very disturbed state. It's called the Hydra Tree. You can cut it down, the main tree, and the roots go out and it sprouts a new tree from every root all around.
So what does it mean for it to disturb the soil? Like, what will change about the soil?
Well, plants from other ecosystems, they are held in check in their own ecosystem because every species evolved only through a very complex, long period of time through the process of natural selection. And it's fine in its native habitat. It doesn't have these characteristics, but it's brought into this, ecosystem, and this is a very disturbed ecosystem. If you put a seed of an Anthis in the middle of a natural mixed evergreen forest up by my house, it couldn't germinate. It couldn't germinate because the microbes there are working together just like in our bodies. If a pathogen comes in and we have a healthy immune system, it will just, like cancer comes up all the time, but our immune system puts it out. And this is the same way. If this is brought into a healthy soil system, like up near my house, that plant would never germinate. It's going to germinate in the disturbed areas where the microbiology has been very disrupted.
So when people think about weeds, they think about like dandelions. So what is a weed?
Well, they say a weed is anything out of place,
Uh-huh.
But I want to talk about specifically when you look at a weed, if it's a dangerous weed and you need to get rid of it, and how do you get rid of it? Do you just always pull it out by the roots, or do you cut it at the base? Because basically one of the other things we're trying to do, in addition to return our soils to a more naturalized state by planting the plants that naturally lived, in this location for 10 million years. The other thing is, it's a process, and we also want to hold as much carbon in the soil as possible. And we also, if it's a nitrogen fixing plant, maybe what we want to do is cut it at the base, but let it fix the nitrogen and let it, decompose and hold carbon in the soil. So the only plants that we really want to pull out by the root would be a very invasive plant that's disrupting the microbiology of the soil on the highest level. So in that case, you really have to understand about weeds, which weeds are harmless and maybe holding carbon in the soil, but it doesn't look good. We have a control issue, get rid of it, follow it with an intellectual understanding that you're working with this living system, right? All right, so let's just go around. I'm going to talk to you about some of the plants, and I'm going to tell you, okay, this one is this one, and this is what I would do with it. But it's recognizing weeds, and it's recognizing which ones and how they should be removed or not.